Good evening. I'm Charlie Coker, the Executive Director of Asia Society Southern California. Welcome to our program this evening on the rise of Indonesia's entertainment industry. This is the fourth program in our US Asia Entertainment Summit, which is having a series of programs this week. I'm so happy and proud to introduce our moderator for the evening, Shanti Harmayan. Shanti is an amazing producer and co-founder of Base Entertainment, which is a company based in Indonesia that creates films both for the domestic and international market. She's collaborating with a number of companies across the world, including Korea CJ Entertainment, Ivanhoe Pictures out of Los Angeles, and doing projects with Netflix. And so she'll be sharing with us her international perspective with an all-star cast of panelists. And I very much look forward to the conversation this evening. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Shanti Harmayan. Thank you.
Um, Thank you, Charlie. Hello, everybody, and good morning from Jakarta. Thank you for joining us at the panel discussion about the rise of the entertainment industry in Indonesia. We have three of my colleagues from the industry, three distinguished colleagues here present. First, I'm going to introduce Angga Dwi Mas Sasongko, who is a film director and a producer and also founder of Fisinema Pictures. Fisinema is right now one of the very fresh and progressive film studio in Indonesia. They launched an acclaimed film called Philosophy Copy based on a novel. And then this film has become a strong movie franchise, and as well as they have launched their coffee retail business from this franchise, and also a lifestyle brand. Angga also, we're going to talk to Angga as well today about his new venture, launching an online distribution platform in Indonesia's extremely exciting distribution scene. So we also have Raline Shah, a top A-list actress, Indonesian actress, born in Jakarta, but also grew up in Singapore and Malaysia. And Raline is now also based in Los Angeles, I think, since 2 years ago. And Raline has basically starred in many box office Indonesian films and also have done a lot of repertoire theater as well. So we're going to talk about Raline and her plans for crossover film projects. And last but not least is my friend Wiki Olindo of Screenplay Films, one of the leading film studio in Indonesia. Wiki, from his repertoire, has basically produced many box office films. And one of Wiki's film that he has produced is also Indonesia's first Netflix original, The Night Comes From Us. The Night Comes For Us by Timo Cahyanto, which also premiered at Fantastic Fest. And last year, Wiki, together with Bumi Langit Studio, launched a Bumi Langit cinematic universe and produced its first opening film, Gundala, which is by the famous director Joko Anwar. So good morning, everybody. I would like to start. Can you hear me? Okay, so I would like to start with an introduction to Indonesia. So we're the fastest growing film market in the region. Cinema attendance has been 20% growth per year since 2017. And then in 2019, basically Bloomberg had dubbed Indonesia as the next biggest scene in international film industry, with 400 million US dollar film market and 18 biggest largest market in the world. Indonesia is not just doing well domestically, but is trying to become a bigger player, especially with films like The Raid, like the one I mentioned before, The Night Come For Us, Marlena Murder in 4 Acts, and which all have international release, including US market. as well as directors like Joko Anwar, Timo Cahyanto, and Molly Surya, who's spreading their wings internationally as well. So I would like to ask all our panelists, what are your views on this high growth in our Indonesian market in the past 3 and 5 years from your perspective? Maybe I'll start with Angga.
I think it's great because if we take a look back into the top 10 movies in the box office, we can see the progress not only in terms of numbers of tickets sales, but also the quality of the storytelling, the quality of the production value, and I see a lot of potential that our industry will move forward, and it's very exciting because at this moment, I always said that we are in the early stage of growth. So the room of growth is still wide open. We can take a look on our screen per capita that's still very low. And if we can add numbers of screen in the next 5 years, I think we can see a lot of difference. We can see a lot of progress in our industry.
Wiki?
Well, I think, the one thing our mass market, our mass audience loves local content. And due to the increase of the cinemas in the last few years, where it's actually penetrating the second tier, third tier cities, and third tier cities that never had cinemas now have cinemas. And with this penetration, with these new cinemas, people want to go to the cinemas and watch movies. And the great thing is that they actually love local content. They love their own content. And like Angga said, our production value is getting better. Our storytelling is getting better. We have directors who are caring to do a better craftsman job on a movie. We've always had great technicians, for camera works and art and everything else needed. So we do need to learn and to grow better, because that's always something you have to do when you're in the film industry. You just keep growing and keep learning. But we have, talent that are actually coming out and trying to do a better job on getting better movies done. So it is very exciting, because between the growth of the cinemas and also with the number of talent that wants to actually create better local content, better well-made stories, it just complements each other, and that's why we see this growth.
Ralin, you want to look at it from the talent perspective about this growth and how you participate in this industry?
Hi.
Hi.
For having me. I think it's such an exciting time to be an Indonesian talent right now. And for the past 3 years, I think it's been the highlight of my career. I didn't start until 2012. So the past 3 years have been really the defining kind of moments for me in terms of my film career. And I've had such great support. Also, the production quality has been amazing. Scripts that has been offered to me on all sorts of genres. I do one movie a year, and last year was my first comedy with Wiki. Wiki produced it. The year before was an action movie, and prior to that, I was in a lot of dramas. And just the change of genre and being able to feel comfortable in changing and being versatile and knowing that we're up to par with the international scene. Some productions are just really top notch, and I've had a chance also to act in Malaysia, and I have to say logistically they're doing so well in terms of their just quality of production, their routines on set, their work ethic, the actors, the quality of talent over there, and how much time we had to prepare for that movie, Police Evo. We had 3 months to get into character, minimum 3 months, 3 months to 1 year. And I think if we have time and we have that kind of budget and that kind of intent to produce great quality movies, The talent is always going to be happy, joyful, and grateful to be in this industry in this special time where, you know, the potential is really great and the room for improvement is endless.
Okay, so we see like early stage of growth and audience loves our films. They go to the cinema growth, talent has so many offers. So what do you see as, I mean, we're painting all these positive and good vibes. So what do you see as bottlenecks, Wiki? Can I start with you on this one? So
Yes.
bottleneck growth, what can we do better?
What can we do better? I think I'm sure you and I probably with Anga too, we all will share the common problem that we need more and more better script writers. We need better stories. I do believe we have great technicians. You know, our technicians are at par with the quality that an international movie can make. But we do need to touch newer genres. We need to touch genres that have not been touched in the local market, and we need to do it tastefully so that we can actually touch the mass local market too, because that's where the growth is. It's the mass market, and I think we need to grow better in the scripts and storytelling. So I think that would be the bottleneck on finding better scripts, better screenwriters. I mean, we have great people. We do have a bunch of great talent, but I think, from my perspective, we need to have more.
Okay. Raleen?
I agree. I was just telling
Are
you.
you getting better script?
Yeah, better script writing. I think we have a lot of stories to tell. Indonesia is such an interesting country full of culture, different languages, even accents. But I think the quality of storytelling needs to be improved significantly in order for our content to be digested more easily, globally, because sometimes it's just like, as an actor, you feel like the character doesn't have enough oomph because they don't want it that much. You can't see the character objective, like to fight for that thing. It's like the drama is not created, so you have to be really super creative as an actor to create that tension. And in America, you see the scripts are so beautifully written. It's almost like, if you're not going to bring to the table your own creativity, it will still do, the words will shine, the subtext is there for you to play with. Whereas in Indonesia, a lot of the scripts is like it's very obvious, people, I think our writers need to be a bit more creative. There's not many writers as well, and scripts always need to be written, rewritten. I think you and Wiki will agree, as producers, that's quite frustrating. And as an actor as well, to kind of question the credibility of the script is frustrating as well for me. So sometimes I really have to communicate to the director, I don't think this is consistent with the theme, the tone, the character objectives. We need to think about what is being written here, and just the character arc, story arc, all those technical things in writing that should be a given. I think we just have to have better education, actually. Maybe in school, maybe in university, script writing, the teaching of script writing needs to be of a higher quality, consistency, and we have to have a commitment to improve that part of filmmaking. As Wiki said, like, technically we're great, we have amazing talent, but the script is really, really important. And I think I agree with Wiki.
I'm going to do a follow-up question on this. So education, and we need to build writers. So I know that Ficinema, similar to Base, are building our own writers room. Anga, you want to elaborate how do we handle this script writing building capacity? So you want to tell a little bit?
I think I want to highlight it, 4 fundamental things. First is how much we want to invest more in talent. rather than put all our money into production or promotion, but how much a, a company budget for a year allocate for investing in talent. For example, in Visinema, we have Visinema Campus. It's a talent development program institution now. We will launch our own edutech platform in Q1 next year. And then the second one, maybe because it's always chicken and egg, Mbak Shanti. You know, if you want to invest in talent, you need to have ability to allocate some of your fund, right? But in the other part, in public policy perspective, we can see how the law enforcement in piracy is still very low, or nothing happened to piracy at this moment. And then in technical perspective, for example, there are very low investment in equipments. For example, the tools like Motoric we just have like 6 months ago, and I use it in my upcoming movies, and it create a lot of different experience in terms of cinematic treatment. And the last thing, I think, how we can see in the future financial inclusion for more filmmaker across the country. How we like Base, for example, creating a fund for and working with a lot of new talents. And I think about the scriptwriter, it's also effect to all the ecosystem. How we want to see this, if we can fight the piracy, maybe there will be more stream revenue, and from that we can allocate more budget to talent investment. And in the other side, the talent investment for like Visinema, we cannot produce more than 6 movies per year, because we don't want to. We want to focus on a certain story and very limited production. But then if we invest to talent, then they need to grow with projects, right? So the financial inclusion becomes matters to them to have opportunity to produce their own content, their own movies, their own stories. So I think those kind of things that we need to address in the, not in the future, but really in the near future, to maintain the growth of our industry.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to this discussion about stories that resonate and also about talent building. But I want to bring up the subject that is the elephant in the room, like in everybody's room and house, COVID-19. So, so we're the fastest growing market. We were producing and releasing 132 local films. Like Vicky said, the audience love us. And then COVID happens. So I don't know why I'm laughing, but because maybe this is a tragic comedy, maybe black comedy at the moment. So how have COVID-19 impact and affected the growth of our film industry? I'm going to start with Vicky. And what does it mean for your business and maybe you personally? So I'm going to start with that question.
Well, now actually we're hitting reality. All right. When we first started the lockdown, March, we all thought it's going to be, oh, we're going to stay at home for 2 weeks, and then life is back, and that's it. And then it was 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We ended up 3 months, and we still had that positiveness on okay, life's going to come back, right? But then you realize, nope, it's not, right? And what are you going to do as a company? Are you going to just stay quiet and wait it out, or there are other things that you need to do? Now, definitely, I'm lucky enough to be partnered with a media group where we have other platforms. Basically, we have the TV platforms, we have the streaming platforms, and we diverse as a company to, okay, let's focus on things that actually, we can do, right? So and it's not like we're going to stop doing the films, because we do positively think we will come back at some point. So basically, like, okay, we are not going to be producing as many movies that we were planned to, but let's do the movies that we were already in pre-production, finish that off and keep it ready for next year, and plan for next year, and start slowly in building the slates towards next year, but definitely not going full scale when it comes to the cinema industry. The great thing that has happened, I think, with all streamers around the world is the growth in the streaming subscription market. So and this has put streamers in Indonesia too, and we have new streamers coming in from international players coming in that all need content, and I think this is what has helped our Indonesian industry, that in this COVID period, I think all of us have somehow diverse to do things with the streamers. I know you yourself, Shanti, released your movie direct to digital, which is not a bad thing. It's a good strategy, because if you were to keep all your films for next year, then there's going to be a whole backlog of movies. So I think let's keep the stuff that we really feel cinematically has to be in the cinemas, because I'm sure there's some kind of movies that you really need to watch it in the cinemas, right? I wouldn't imagine watching James Bond on digital, but so hopefully that never happens. But so there are some movies that you really need the cinema experience, and there are some movies that you think you can get a huge market in the digital market. And that's the strategies that I think, every company that does that, it's a good thing, because we can't have a backlog of 100 movies for next year. Then what's going to happen with our next year titles if there's so many backlogs of releases, right? So the great part from a company perspective, a production company perspective, is we had other avenues towards working in this COVID industry, and we could do stuff for the streaming platforms, we could do stuff for television, and what we're doing now is, I think we have enough more prep time to prep on our movies, and that's a great thing, because I think you make better movies when you have better preparation, more time to spend on scripting. And I think the main thing is you get to have more time in actually building up your IPs and stories and scripts that you actually want to produce for the next year. Now we're still very positively thinking that there will be a time when the cinemas will all reopen, and it will come back to some sort of half the business, or 60% of the business, hopefully by next year. And I think that's something that we all in this room have some kind of positiveness. That's why Anga is filming his movies for next year. I'm filming my movies for next year. I know you did something for next year. So I think we're still positively thinking that we'll have to do something, and I think we're all in the same page that even if the industry doesn't really come back 100% next year, we still need to support it. We need to support our theatrical industry that was doing so great at some point, right? So but yeah, I think the good part of the whole COVID situation is, I think we're all enjoying the growth of the streaming platforms, and it's every streaming platform like that's doing so well in Indonesia. It's the international brands and also the local brands. The local brands are actually hitting subscription. They're breaking records on subscription every month, and I think that's great, because what's going to happen next is when our cinemas come back, we also have a very strong paid subscription-based streaming platform in Indonesia. So that's going to complement us as production companies to have cinema and strong platforms. So
Thank you.
there's some positive things out of COVID.
Good. You're basically answering my next question already, but I want to throw, since you just said like complementary, I love that word. I'm going to go directly to Anga, since he just launched his own online platform. So Anga, Are you as positive as Wiki and me? Wiki mentioned like 60%. Will we rebound and basically regain growth that we had before COVID, and especially with this current healthy competition, I would say healthy competition between all the streamers, whether it's the international streaming giants or the local ones. How do you see it, Anga, as one of the player now? So
I think I'm very optimistic since day one, Mbak Shanti. We have already prepared all the situation and the impact since February, when we saw what happened in Italy. So at that time, we already prepare what if those kind of things happen in Indonesia. And then we start to re-strategize all the vision of the company. We allocate most our investment this year to technology, because we believe eventually market will recover. And then when market recover, what we could take from this moment, from this pandemic, I think what Pak Wiki said is the right terms, how we create a complementary distribution, since we don't have the transaction video on demand window. We believe that if we can create a platform that start the precedent of that window, it will give the industry complementary new distribution window. As we know now, we have theatrical as a first window, and then maybe 5 years ago, television become the second window. Now the subscription video on demand become the second window. But with Bioskop Online, we want to offer the industry and the stakeholder to have a window that give opportunity to the content sell directly to audience through transaction or pay-per-view model. And I hope this is going to be a new added value to the industry, new streaming line for the revenue for the producer. And yeah, hopefully next year when market recover, we will see, especially in as a stakeholder in film industry, that those kind of progress is a white swan, not a black swan.
So do you think, I'm going to add one more question. Do you think cinema will grow? Because before COVID, we're basically adding screens more and more, right? So at quite a higher rate. So in this complementary market, do you will still see a growth of cinema screens? Anga and then Wiki.
Yes, because I believe our society, our Indonesian people are very social people, right? We don't see cinemas as only an aspiration space to enjoy the performing arts, but also a place for us to go with our families, because most of our cities doesn't have public space. So cinemas become a public space for us. And with that perspective, I believe that we will recover faster than we thought.
Wiki, cinema growth?
Yes. See, our cinema growth was doing so well when we left off before COVID. We had so much foreign investment coming in. We all know Cinepolis took over and has this big plans of building number of cinemas, CGV2, and of course, definitely Studio XX1 has done a great job, and they keep expanding and doing a really good job. And they all had these huge 20 to 30% growth market in terms of cinemas. So definitely due to the property industry that currently is low because of the COVID situation, probably they will have locations that were planned to reopen in 2021 or 2022 might take some time, but I'm sure it will come back. I mean, like Anga said, we are people that like to socialize. The smaller cities, people live in smaller homes, and basically, it's not something where they kind of want to go out. And right now, going out is what you go out to eat and you go out to watch a movie, right? So that's going out. I mean, we're not blessed with many parks, theme parks, and a lot of outdoor activities. So in the bigger cities, our outdoor activities are usually the malls, and you go to the mall because you want to have dinner and watch a movie. So I think definitely with that current habit and with our population growth and the population growth with the youngsters, like we have such a huge young market in Indonesia, right? So I'm pretty positive that all these exhibitors are gonna come back after we're done with this whole pandemic.
So it's just a matter of, so you're saying it's just a matter of time. Maybe it's just the time when we rebound, but I think the growth will come back.
Yes,
correct?
I think it is a matter of time, but I think us as producers have also a responsibility towards our local exhibitors to help them rebound with this problem. So I think it's very positive that you are still active, Anga is still active, and we are still active. And together we're gonna make more movies, and we're gonna have newer movies, and this is what's gonna help our exhibitors to rebound because of the supply that we do with them and for them, right? Because they would never be able to rebound if we stop, right? Because if there's no supply of new movies, then they can't rebound. So I think together, if we are really strong towards the commitment of trying to rebound either in 2021 or 2022, and we all continue to do what we're doing, and we're all consistently, still building our slates and trying to do still the best for the industry, then we might see it sooner than later in terms of the rebound, because the supply is going to be there, then the demand's going to be there, right? So, I think it's we're all in this together, and I think the fact that you, Anga, and me can have this conversation openly and fun, and also with the exhibitors, that I think creates the whole industry to be really tight and strong, and where we have this healthy competition between all of us, and we all have this hope that we're gonna come back.
And I want to add a little bit, like if we want to recover the market, then we need to stimulate the market, right? So the bold move of the producer is what we need today. And Visinema will release our tentpole movie in the end of December this year. We don't care how many screens will open that time, but we believe that if we want to bring back the audience to the cinema, then we need new content. We need something big, something that worth to watch. And then I want to encourage all the producers to to step up to bring the content to the cinema as soon as possible, because if we doing it late, then we lost the engagement with our audience that we already built for the last 5 years.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to.
That's great, Anga.
Yeah, bold move. I like that. So before I go to the next question, I just want to remind the audience, we're going to go a little bit more on the questions from me. And then please submit your questions, so then because we have allocated quite a good time for questions from the audience. You can start sending your questions now. So coming back to that note, bold move And I'll go back to the fact that we're a complementary market, which is very unique. And I thought it's quite a golden moment where cinema growth is basically happening almost at the same time as online distribution growth, which I think I only see in another market, maybe like China, where you go hand in hand, which is quite lucky. On this note, so this growth of streamers, um, what this will basically also push about what type of stories resonate in the market, right? That contribute to the growth, like because the stories for cinema and the stories for streamers may be same, maybe a little bit different, and then of course streamers will also go into the realm of series. Um, how do you see this translated to maybe the plan of your pipeline? And then later I'm going to ask Raline, and how does this also impact actors with this variety of stories? But I'm going to start with Anga.
I think
The
we
demand of stories, the demand, not just quantity.
also forget the fact that when we hit 50 million ticket sales, and the other side, two streaming platforms just close their operation, right? So this is a very, very interesting situation. It's an anomaly where where we thought that the growth of digital consumption will threat the cinema, but what happened was we hit 50 million tickets, but two platform that backed by major investor choose to close the operation. So that's what gave me a lot of insight about how we want to play the role in digital side, how we want to like Pak Wiki said, make digital a complementary to the industry. So we try a new format in bioskop online. It meet feature film. It a 70 minutes movie, and we do a price point strategy where they can purchase in very low price, and it turns out I don't know how it's about how to maintain it in the future, but so far it seems people can accept, because bioskop online only 2 months in operation, but now we already have more than 500,000 user, and our first original movie Kale already purchased by 300,000 users. So I think the digital distribution could be like a space for new talents or new new storytellers, new actors to gain their experience, and then it can prepare them to produce a bigger production for cinema. That's something maybe Pak Wiki have your own perspective, but I think that's something very interesting perspective if we want to see how we can play along with the digital distribution.
Vicky, what type of stories with this within this complementary market? So like one for cinema, Is it another one for streamers? And can we push boundaries on storytelling? Yeah. So
I
what's
think
your
the great part, I think Anga just mentioned a lot. I mean, and I actually watched this movie. By the way, Anga, I paid for it, so don't worry. I didn't pirate it, Anga. So uh, it's it's a great thing that if you were to see what's happening on the streaming platforms, is something that we're all trying to do something different, trying to introduce the audience to a new genre. Basically Anga just did Kale, and he introduced it to a new audience. Of course, he has already the audience from the previous movie because it's a character from a movie, and those kind of engagements try to bring in people to be introduced to pay on a platform instead of getting it for free. Now, another thing that I see that's going on with also the other local streamers and also the international streamers, they're trying to push the boundaries on what is on cinema. I think, and we probably at some point have to blame all of us, because we generalize cinema. We feel that movies that work are movies like blah 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 blah. We kind of think that there's a formula to what movies work in the cinema, and therefore we kind of repeat ourselves, or probably follow what others do. So if we were to see another movie work, and then we try to see, oh, the formula that movie worked was because of blah 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 blah. So we try to do something similar, and we don't break boundaries, or we don't go out of the box. But what I see with the streaming platforms, they are trying to push us producers to do something different, because number one, they don't really have the budgets that we have on a cinematic movie. And if we were to make something that is like superbly big, like if we were to do like a super big action movie, we won't have the budgets on it, right? So how do you find the equilibrium of doing this on a streaming platform with a minimum budget? So what happens is we kind of test different genres. We kind of test different things that we probably wouldn't have done on a cinema, which is sometimes like getting better characterizations, character building, and all that. There are you feel like, oh, in the cinemas you don't really have time for character building. You need to go to story and all that. But when you do streaming series, you have time to build characters. You have time to introduce characters to the audience. And I think this is a great thing that's actually happening for our industry, is because all of us are doing something with the digital platform, and we're doing something different with it that we're not doing on cinema. And we're gonna come up with new talent, with new writers, with new directors, and probably new actors, and we also actually are introducing the market to newer genres that are not there in cinema. So I would see like this is going to complement the cinemas later, because if people like the genres that are on video, I mean on digital platforms today, then we might be able to make these genres in the cinemas one day. So and our cinema industry is going to become wider in terms of genres, because you have all kinds of genres there. So it's good.
So on that note, I'm going to go to Raleen. So with what Wiki was saying, that there's all these complementary and stimulus to variety and growth, has that happened to basically actors like you, like top actors? Are you getting more and more interesting stories, more challenging roles? How do you see it?
I think I've been very lucky. I'm grateful that I do get offered challenging roles, and definitely different genres this past 3 years. I'm very grateful for Wiki, who has trusted me with the past two completely different genres that I've never been in, which is action and comedy. I think at the end of the day, though, as actors, I mean, at my level, I'm quite decently known in Indonesia, and I have a choice in which genre.
You're very well known, Raleen.
I mean, decently, there's many people I would love to work with that I haven't. Surprisingly enough, I haven't worked with Anga. I haven't worked with Joko. Haven't worked with you, Mbak Shanti. Like, there's so many people that I dream and I desire to work with, but I haven't. At the end of the day, I think self-awareness and knowing what you intend to bring into film is very important. Like, what genres are you intent on kind of expanding your potential into? Like, for me, I went to the US actually to study film, to study acting, not so much to cross over as an international talent. At some point, maybe that would be the intention, but so far it's just been kind of benchmarking myself against international talent and just Americans in general, because Stella Adler, one of the best actors of our time and also theater practitioner, she says, where you are is who you are. And I thought, well, I'm in cinema, so I have to be in Hollywood, or I have to learn from the masters. And I've joined Lee Strasberg for method acting in New York. And then here with Baron Brown studying Sanford Meisner and Stella Adler. Also recently graduating from UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade for improv and comedy. And then I just realized my heart is in comedy. And they say, being dying is easy, but comedy is difficult, And I feel like comedy is so hard, and I feel like that's where my heart is. And some people, maybe they're not born funny, but you can study that. And that's what I'm trying to tell young talents in Indonesia as well. If you dream to be an actor, you have to learn it. There's certain ethic into there's work ethic that you need to really pay attention to, because at some level you kind of question, like, am I arrogant or am I confident? And is my work ethic also mirroring or showing that I am serious about my craft? And when I moved here, everyone was like, oh, you think, you're a big star, so you want to move to Hollywood? But that's not what I thought. What I was feeling was actually, oh my God, am I incompetent? Like, I felt a sense of like, oh, I need to up my game. I need to study more so that I can bring knowledge back to where I come from, which is Indonesia. Knowledge in terms of acting, in terms of what people are talking about here, just work ethic in general, because, in Indonesia, our professional film kind of industry is only span maybe 3-4 decades, whereas here it's been 90 years, 100 years. And I wanted to learn from the best. And what I can say is, although the genres, I could always experiment with genres. And in Indonesia, fortunately, there's all sorts of new even new ideas, new script writers, new platforms that are being produced. But the genres are still, the popular ones are still the same, comedy and horror. And the offers that come to me are always like comedy and horror. And for me personally, I'm into comedy, but I'm also into the intent of me being in a film. The question is always, how is this gonna change how people think and feel and view the world? What perspective is this film giving? What can my character bring to empower women, for example? That's one of my intentions always. How strong is this character? How does she evolve to be on the right side of history in terms of being a woman? And I think if actors have that kind of mental integrity and spiritual integrity to choose their roles wisely, or to expand their roles that is being presented to them, they can say a lot of things in a movie and not just be physically there and going with a script, but actually making intentional choices like, okay, I want to be a strong character in every movie, whether it's comedy, horror movie. I want to be a character that evolves into someone who becomes more independent. And I always have that. So it's more like, okay, you get the offers, but also what can you say to people through your art or you being a talent? So I think it's really, really important as a talent to work on yourself and to improve your acting capacity, be optimal in your work ethic, be efficient in your decision making in terms of what you decide to pursue for the next near future, in terms of genres or what you want to focus on. Now with the COVID, honestly, all I've been doing is really training my voice. I think now, even here, there's all these kits that managers are giving us so that we can be parts of animation productions. And that's so exciting for me. I've always believed that voice is 50 or more percent like more important than just the visual, because everyone can be a pretty face, but also to have a good soundtrack to how you look and how you move, it's really important. And that's what I always tell young actors, it's like, it's not just your look, work on your voice, work on something and think out of the box. Like, just be the best at one thing, be the best at one thing and be really crazy about it, and then your talent will shine. Because the truth is, talent in Indonesia, there's so much potential, there's so many new actors, but what is lacking is the education. Like, here we have good acting schools, good acting coaches, and acting is an art that is taken seriously, whereas the public perception in Indonesia is starting to change, but it's still like, I'm probably just third generation actor, so they don't see it as a valid career path. It's like, okay, if you reach that level, of course it's valid, but if not, what? So what I always want to say to young people is, if you want to be an actor, it doesn't mean that it should be your career. It's just a passion. You work on it, you see what you're good at, and then if it's meant for you, a career path will come. But we're not in Hollywood yet that could be like an actual career path that you could explore for everyone. And I don't try to kind of swerve people's reality into like, yes, anyone can be in film in Indonesia. I really want people to just stay real, that, it's important to know what you desire, but it's also important to live in reality and to know like what are your surroundings, which is why I put myself here in LA so that,
Brave of you.
yeah, just put myself here. And then I just saw a different perspective. I mean, my neighbor is a script writer. My next door neighbor is a composer. Everyone is in film and everyone is struggling. Everyone's working so hard. Whereas in Indonesia, everyone's working so hard, but I know probably 4 composers or 3 script writers that I can trust. So I think when you move yourself out of your comfort zone, you do get to learn more, and you do get to kind of struggle, falter. When you study, it's not pretty. It's not pretty to study, because you're gonna fail, you're gonna trip, you're gonna look stupid. And I thought, where else to study but out of Indonesia, where nobody knows me and I could just improve myself as much as I want, or fail and no one would judge me. So I think I wanted to just share that with you guys, that I'm here not to be in film, but more just to get to know people, to network, and to understand my industry better back in Indonesia.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Ron. Thank you so much. So insightful. So I'm going to take a question, a very interesting question from the audience. I'm going to read it. What elements of content are prohibited by the government? We're talking about censure here, or widely disliked by audiences in Indonesian market? Maybe we can't formulate what works, but what doesn't work. So what doesn't work, guys? Angga, what doesn't work, you think?
What doesn't work? I think the problem is,
or everything works.
I think we need to offer more than afraid to offer something different. For example, animation is a format that never been taken seriously in this industry, and it's hard to say what doesn't work, because the options is not that much, and so we don't have. Personally, I don't have any history that could say that this is the work, this is doesn't work. So it's quite irrelevant to our industry at this moment.
Wiki, what
There-
doesn't work? Like do we have, like, I think people want to know about censure, when entering.
Okay, in terms of the market, I'll have to give you an honest answer that as a producer, I never know what works and what doesn't work.
Yes.
The first day of release, the first day of release, I have butterflies in my stomach. I can't sleep. I can't do anything. I mean, there's no way I know for sure that my movie is going to work and either be a box office or that. So every time, like after I don't know, I've produced so many films, and every time I still have the same feeling. There's never a time when you know exactly what's going to work and not going to work. So if there are people that can say that, then great for them. But I really don't know. In terms of censorship, I think as a censorship point of view, I think it's just religious stuff is a bit sensitive for us. I think that's the main point. Of course, when you talk from a negative perspective, but if you talk from a positive perspective, it's all good. We have a lot of religious movies that have done well in the box office, but I think that's the main sensitive point.
Okay. Since we're talking about, I think we still have time for one strong question. So since we're talking about what works and what doesn't work, so Wiki, I just want to end with one question with you about, because you're about to start like this series of big budget productions because you launch Bumi Langit, the cinematic universe. So what are the indicators that made you decide that the market is ready for this, for Bumi Langit?
Uh,
As a super,
we
can I say as a
yes.
superhero, as a superhero universe, or you will say it better?
Yes, it's more a comic universe, so they're superheroes from a comic universe. Now, we released last year, 2019. We had seen growth from 2016, where the cinema growth was becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and we saw that the top 10 movies actually had similar genres in the audience, and we felt together, Screenplay and Bumi Langit. Bumi Langit is this company that owns 1,000 characters from the comics, a lot of IPs. So we felt like if we were to build this universe, some sort like a Marvel or DC, but a local one where it's nothing to do with the US superheroes, but try to make it as grounded and as local, we felt like it's a chance that we can come up with a different genre for the industry if we do it tastefully and if we do it well. That's where Joko Anwar came into the picture. He wrote it, he directed it, and he's actually the architect of the whole Bumi Langit cinematic universe. So we launched last year because we saw the growth and we saw that the market actually can sustain bigger budget movies. And we just had to take a risk on doing it. We've had success on it. I wouldn't say super success on it, but it has given us enough boost to do our second and third title that we're currently filming, and we're still planning the universe for next year, that we'll have releases, or when the cinemas industry are better. But we are not going to stop with this because we feel like we started it and it has created some hype, and that's something that we want to continue and try to put this different genre in Indonesia.
Okay. So there's another question I thought is interesting from the audience is, so since we're talking about big budget productions, and also Angga, you mentioned about animation, because you yourself are producing animation. A lot of studios are entering animation. What about co-production films? Do co-production films work in Indonesian market? How do you see co-production films?
I think you're the expert one to say.
To answer that.
Last time I do the co-production is with Sheila Timothy, the producer of Lifelike Picture, with Wiro Sableng, co-produced with Fox International Production. I think again, it's all about the objective of the co-production. If the co-production is to conquer the local market or to bring the Indonesian story to abroad, I think that's the important elements that we need to have at the first place. Are we going to produce this story to only for the local market or international market. For example, Wiro Sableng, I think the intention of Fox is to engage with Indonesian market, but intention of your film, like Impetigor, to co-produce with Ivanhoe, is to bring the your movie to bigger audience, to the international audience, and both thing I think it's good, but we need to know since the beginning what is the objective of the co-production.
Vicky, you've done many international co-productions. So what's your view?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, it's time for, you know, we need to collaborate on things where we think we are lacking. Like if we were to feel that another partner could bring in some strength to a movie, then it's important. It could be anything. It could be from a story perspective, an actor's perspective, a director's perspective, anything that we feel that can bring value. Like and like Screenplay and Bumi Langit did this whole co-production, and we for the superhero movies, is because we felt we complemented each other. We want to do better stories. We need better characters, and IP Bumi Langit has it. So Screenplay and Bumi Langit join hands to do this whole universe. So I think it complements like what you want to actually, and I think it's great that you know, when people actually can collaborate and know that the reason they collaborate is because the other partner can bring in some strength to them.
Okay. So so we talk about tentpoles, we talk about animation, new genre, co-productions. So question about to what extent are you willing to explore stories? So basically talking about pushing boundaries. So we talk about a little bit about censure and what works. So how are you, both of you as producers, and maybe also this is a question for Raleen, how do you embrace like stories that push the boundaries? And do you think they're important for a market, like a growing market like us?
I think it's the most important thing, Mbak Shanti, and in the next hours of our slate in Visinema in 2021, we will move to the space that we never go before. Like I'll say in this forum that we rebranding the Philosophy Copy franchise, and it will be an action movie. So and then we are producing our first horror movie, but it's a horror adventure fantasy. So you will see something like Percy Jackson with local wisdom. And then Keluarga Cemara, the sequel, we twisted into a fantasy adventure. And then the last, and we will have Nusa, our first feature animation. And then in the Q4, we will launch an action heist movie. So the slate in 2021 is the film that we never encountered before. You know, like it's going to be a very exciting year for us in Visinema, and we are very confident that this kind of approach will give the audience at least a new perspective about how we Indonesian filmmaker can do more than they are expected.
Okay, cool. Wow, 2021. I can't wait. Raleen, before I go to Wiki, I'm going to go to Raleen first. So how do you, you know, in terms of pushing boundary stories, how do you embrace it as an actor, as an Indonesian actor?
I think it's.
Or how do you think your colleagues also need to embrace this? That's my question.
I think it's very important. Thank you for the question, but thank you for saying that, because it is important to push boundaries. We are in Indonesia where there's so much potential to just do new things in new ways, and somebody has to do it, and people need to be encouraged to be given permission to do things out of the box and to say some things that are uncomfortable, because humanity needs to be pushed, like their boundaries need to be pushed in order for people to be emotionally triggered to change and to feel different things and to see different perspectives in terms of life. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know, Wiki and Anga, if you remember Lovely Man. It was
Yep.
about a transgender man raising conservative Muslim girl who's wearing a hijab, and how she's looking for her father. And he was working as a prostitute, transgender prostitute in Jakarta. And it showed us that this is a reality that exists. And that's what movies are meant to be here for humanity to see, like these people that we don't get to kind of empathize with, they come to real life, they have a story, they have emotions, humanizing characters, everyday characters we see. A project that I'm working on here and we're thinking of working on is to do with object drivers. Object drivers improve our lives every day, improve our quality of lives. We need them. But there's never been a movie where we humanize them and see their struggles and live through them. And movies is one of the best ways to do that. So I think we need to push boundaries, especially in terms of the genre, not just the genres, but how deep we go into characters and personalities, and not just glamorizing how life is in Indonesia in terms of the sensual things, like good looking people, good looking actors, buildings, doing awesome stunts, like Bumi Langit is doing, and which I'm very excited to be involved in. Thank you, Wiki. But also like the real life people, the real life characters that exist in Indonesia that's uncomfortable for people in the cinema to watch. And, for us to open people's eyes that this exists in Indonesia and we need to see it, whether it's uncomfortable and whether it's some people don't think it's entertaining. But if it's written well, like Lovely Man, and if it touches human souls, it will create a shift. And then people will realize that we have permission and we should get out of our boxes and do, work with scripts that might not be box office hits, but can definitely change perspectives. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. By the way, for the audience, Lovely Man is by Teddy Suryatmaja. It's fantastic and it stars.
Please
Ryan.
watch it.
Yeah, please watch. It's in one of the streamers. I think it's available on Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah.
Wiki. So pushing boundaries. So you have tentpole. Do you have time for pushing boundaries film?
Yeah, I mean, yes, pushing boundaries is important. At the time when Garrett did the raid, it was good, it was great. Then he left, and at that point, we felt that with my business partner Mike, and we had Timo and the Mo brothers to do Headshot. We felt like let's do something where we can still carry on this great genre that the raid did, and let's do more action movies and all that. So I mean, we do kind of try to push the boundaries, but I have to confess that from my perspective as a producer, I need to push more because I've not been really confident to do something like The Lovely Man. I've tried to do newer genres, but not something where, in terms of the content, in terms of the story, is pushing the boundaries towards something that's super human so yeah, I think that's a great thing that people are doing it, and I probably will have to be bolder to do something where we can push the boundaries.
So Wiki has to not just have movies about humans with superpowers, but how being human is a superpower, right?
So
True.
oh, this is great. This is great conversation. I just want to add on that last note. I think Anga and I are working on an omnibus film, which will be done soon. I think launch next month, and that is an omnibus of new talented directors, and it's all about pushing boundaries. So it's quite
Wow.
like everything is quite edgy. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to launching that on Bioscope Online together with Anga. And speaking of pushing boundaries director, we have Joko Anwar Wiki, who keeps pushing left, right, front all the time in every genre, whether it's a superhero genre or as a, with empathy gore as a horror genre. So it's always like keep pushing, keep pushing. So wow, okay, I need to wrap up, but I need to do a recap. But we mentioned so many great things, so I'm just going to list some of them, which I thought was really cool that was mentioned in this conversation. So we are market at early stage growth. We still believe that cinema, even with COVID pandemic, will be still resilient, and we will still see cinema growth. Maybe it takes a little bit of time, and we're very lucky that the Indonesian market has a young audience, a big young audience who loves our films. So that's a really good, strong asset that we have. It is also a complementary market where cinema and streamers have both its own growth and can basically co coincide together. What do we need to do better is we need to work on our capacity building, our education, and basically work on our talent building, providing support to our talent, especially script writing, because then this will allow us to push for new genre, new stories, because we need this new genre in new stories and in our, especially in our rebound, because all the producers and the filmmakers need to do the bold move to basically work hand in hand with the exhibitors for us to rebound as a market. And the last question, I just want to ask, I want to ask one question, and the answer should be yes or no. So, do you think we can grow to become a $1 billion market, Wiki?
A $1 billion market.
Top 10 market world. Are you optimistic? He's laughing.
No, you know what? We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay. Angga?
Yes, of course. We maybe 10 years behind China and 10 years behind Korea, but we will get there. And if you're an investor and you want to entering the Asia Pacific market, then you need to take a look Indonesia, because you bring 300 million US dollar to China, it's nothing. But if you bring 10% of it to Indonesia right now, you can dominate the market in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. Ralin, yes or no?
I think, is it worth fighting for? And if their desire is there, definitely there is potential to get there, yes. But it will take time, and it will take real concerted effort and collaborative effort and an ecosystem, like Angga said, to support that to happen in this lifetime. Yeah.
Okay, so audience, I'm going to leave at that note. Thank you so much, and I'm going to bring it back to our Asia Society moderator, Charlie Coker. Thank you.
Well, Shanti, thank you so much for an amazing conversation. And thanks to Wiki and Raylene Shah, and as well as my dear friend Angga, for an amazing discussion. We look forward to many more. We'd also like to thank you for all being a part of our US Asia Society Summit Week, and hope that we will be able to have a program again in the near future. We'd also like to thank very much our sponsors for this evening. Paul Hastings, Manat, Walt Disney Imagineering, and O'Melveny, who've supported us through our kind of new format. We've had this program live in the past as a one-day seminar, and obviously due to the pandemic situation have moved this to a week of seminars. And we hope to to invite all of you and to see all of you again in person next year when we're hopefully past the worst of the pandemic. So thank you again. We'd also like to very much thank our promotional partners for this evening. American Chamber of Commerce Shanghai, the Asian Business League of Southern California, Chinese Entertainment, the Los Angeles Chinese Film Festival, the New Filmmakers Los Angeles, and also the USC Marshall School of Business IBER MBA program. So thank you again for an amazing and insightful discussion. We look forward to having it again and wish you all a good night. Thank you.